When I was younger, my great-grandparents lived out in a town in middle of nowhere, Texas. In their home, they had a small, old-timey map of Texas. Now, on the map, written in bold across the entire region, were the words, "no wood" and "no water." A few years ago, I found myself driving across this landscape, and I saw that it all seemed barren and dead. Recently, my grandmother even told me that the water was so hard that when she grew up there, the soap didn't even make bubbles. A truly depressing place where soap doesn't even mean suds. Except for that it was dead flat. I, perhaps unjustly, picture it as a kind of valley of the shadow of death. Despite this, a settler girl who rode and settled in this land wrote in her journal that for her and her family, God was their only neighbor. I found that this connected very nicely with our passage for today, Psalm 23, verses 4 to 6. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. All of Psalm 23 offers us great peace, and specifically, from this passage, we can draw encouragement from the assurance that I will fear no evil. I found that this psalmist, traditionally believed to be King David, draws peace from three sections, which each start with the letter Y. You are with us, your rod and staff comfort us, you prepare a table before us, despite the presence of our enemies. So number one, you are with us. Often life could feel like we're going through it alone, like we wish Christ were there at our side. Yet Christ told his disciples at the Last Supper, I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. If we travel through life as orphans, we live meal to meal with no hope of escaping our condition, like all the little Victorian orphans. That's not where Christ left his church, because he never fully left us. In the Gospel of Matthew, the last words of Jesus are, Behold, I am with you always, to the end of the age. Our Prince of Peace, mighty counselor and comforter, still lives among us. And we can take comfort that our triumphant King walks between us, guarding, counseling, and comforting us with his rod and staff. Which is the second reason we need not fear. His rod and staff comfort us. Kings of the ancient world often erected themselves holding weapons and at their moment of greatest glory. Mesopotamian kings wielded maces on their public monuments. And the pharaohs had royal crooks and flail, bow and chariot. Yet Christ's symbol, the cross, doesn't seem like one of power on Good Friday, but it reveals its strength on Easter. This is the symbol behind the greatest story us sheep have ever witnessed. When the leopard of death, who long stalked the flock, finally attacked, he killed our great shepherd. But at our darkest hour, cornered by that leopard, Christ rose victorious and dealt death a death blow. We can have peace because our King has killed death. The shadow of death that haunted the valley is no longer a shadow cast by an impregnable fortress, but a shadow cast by smoke. Jesus has overpowered all enemies and opposition. We must take joy in that. But it can seem like those enemies are still all around us. Reason 3, you prepare a table before us, despite the presence of my enemies. Christ is King, and yet there are still powers that challenge and attack us. Our comfort, though, is that even though we are surrounded, we can see that God is preparing something magnificent for us. Paul gives us this message in Romans when he writes that, quote, we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good. David could see that God's promises are guarantees when he says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Christ finished up his last sermon at the Last Supper with what would be deep encouragement to his disciples. Quote, in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart. I have overcome the world. I find beauty that the best encapsulation of a God, Lord, Savior, Father, and King who lives among his people is the simple vocation of a shepherd. A shepherd who we can take comfort in because of his presence, his triumph, and his providence. As you walk this week, know that your Comforter and King is with you like a shepherd, that the shadows around hold no power over you, and the trail and trials we walk have a destination. So take heart this week, and may the God of peace dwell among us all.